Alright, we've got 3 packages going on here. I'm trying to do this one by hand. My arms feel weak. Maybe there's something in the air. Maybe it's that the air is cold. I don't know. The scissor is effective. I should scissor more. Let's see, put that there. And there's a receipt in here. Just kind of, juggle it carefully. We've got the big box with most of this week's stuff. Hopefully not being too reckless there. See, if it was reckless, it was only Tokyo Ghoul that suffered. I say only, but, well, whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. It's feeling close to incoherent gobbledygook. Let me put this on top. Okay. I guess before I touch this, got Spider-Man Far From Home, Blu-ray DVD. The No Endgame for Spidey, blah 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 blah. Oddly entertaining, all new short. Alright, so the first thing I noticed with this one is this plastic. I just didn't want to touch it, it feels wrong. Like, I don't know what's wrong with it. I felt like I made an incision in the plastic here, but I'm not feeling any grab. Whoa, how weird. Very, very weird. Okay. Let's try that. What the fucking hell? Feels like this is wet. That's probably partly why that feels weird. I mean, look at that. It's like it was soaked in lotion, maybe? Let's make sure there's a back to this, because I guess I'm going to probably... I might throw this away. Maybe I won't. Hold on, alright, there we go. My hands smell like alcohol instead of, oh, for fuck's sake. Anyways, this does say it's an Eastern Star release, so it's not like it's... Anyways, it's loose in its case. It smells like lotion, but actually it smells like fresh DVD on the inside, so it seems like it's been protected from all that stuff. First Night, Lamune, and 40 Fresh. I think this is an older series that got released on DVD. Alright, so yeah, anyways, I've never seen something arrive in that state before. That's weird. Here we have Tokyo Ghoul Part 2. This would be Tokyo Ghoul Season 3. Let's look at the back. Look, region A and B. I see English dub, Blu-ray special features, Q&A, episode 21, 24 commentary, textless opening song. I'm guessing it probably has the same closing song as the first core. And I don't remember if the first one was a box or not. But I guess it means that if it was and I put it in something, I should dig it out and put it in here so it's a nice collection. Come on, glue. You get off. And you see a lot of people from this show. A lot of people from this show. So let's take a look at this part. I'll take this and put this over here to be rescued. So this contains limited edition stuff in it that and it's supposed to take the place of part 1, I think. So I can take part 1 and put it in here. Now, what goodies did I also get? Ooh, a pin of what's-his-face's mask. I'm actually going to leave these out. Okay, stickers. Ooh, a thing to stand them up, a keychain thing. So you could stand one up and you could hang the other on your keychain, and you could do it vice versa. Interesting. And everything in here, that's everything in there. Okay, but I guess, even though I'm going to leave that stuff out of there, I am going to take this and put it in here for now. We have a book where if we take a look at the book, we'll see art, we'll see words, we'll see descriptions, we'll see art. Pretty cool. And then the release proper, which, you know, says Region A, special features, English cast and crew, episode commentary, and more. Seems like it's the same stuff in general. Oh, no plastic there. Okay, that makes sense. Read, that's probably the manga. Storyboard and art, something. Read the manga behind the blockbuster. Okay, then that's nothing on the back. Set this aside so that we can take a look at some of this background art. These disc images, these actually look kind of pretty. Simple, but somehow more effective than usual. A red flower. I think it's that kind that normally is associated with death in Japanese culture or something. Don't remember too well. It's from like an episode of Hellgirl. Okay, okay. Next up we have Dragon Ball Super Volume, or Part 9. So of course I had to dig the DVD version out. It's fierce when the universes are at stake, blah blah blah. Okay, finally some plastic I can toss on the floor, because I've been not tossing it on the floor. So for this one, I guess we want to take a quick peek to see it's Region A, English dubbed, special features, text list Q&A with Sarah and Dawn, text list opening song, text list closing. Okay, okay. And Jiren, who kind of looked okay when they started all of this stuff, but is kind of just looking kind of meh as of this. Oh well. Get inside and we've got discs 1, 2. And this should also be discs 1 and 2. And, you know, it's the same image there. There's neat things about this saga. I'm looking less and less forward to this confrontation because they've done a lot of other interesting ones. And some of those have just simply been fun. This thing does not want to close. Why not? This is a very annoying update this week. Like, individual components. We got Boruto, the Next Generation 3. I don't know if that's a part 3 or a set 3. I guess I call them set 3s. And, you know, there's interesting things, but so if we look at the back of the Blu-ray, I see a Region A there. So we've got 2 discs, 13 episodes English and audio, 16 by 9 English. And I got under special features. Yeah, I was looking at that. And then you got English class, storyboards, art gallery, clean off an end. And this plastic is being tenacious as fuck. So let's get a scissor with it. wondering if there's a little plastic left behind there, I guess. This is being that kind of plastic. Annoying. Urusai. Okay. So I'm almost thinking we'll see the same thing here. We got plastic on the outside. The sleeve off. Plastic on the inside. And now we can take a look. Disc 1, Disc 2, discuss. Actually, we'll look at the Blu-ray version. Disc 1, Disc 2. Can't English anymore. Oh well. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Next up we have Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie on Blu-ray, digitally remastered. Everything else was just practice. I cannot see a damn thing on the back there. I'm going to take the plastic off and then look a little more closely. Alright, let's see, because I think this is dub only. Blu-ray disc. I can't even, it doesn't seem to be focusing. Approximately 90 minutes. Oh well. I think it's dub only, but I could be mistaken. And last but not least, we have Lupin, the Third Blood Seal of the Eternal Memoir? Mermaid. The Eternal Mermaid. Alright. And, okay, same thing on the opening. And the inside and outside. Sometimes they do that, sometimes they don't. I see under here English audio. Region A. 1 TV special on 1 disc, 90 minutes. Yeah. So, includes an all new English dub with the cast of Lupin 3rd Part 4. Cool. Smells like lotion in here. I wonder why. There we have it on Blu-ray, and then we have a much bigger version of it. It's pretty cool. The name, of course, is a pretty cool sounding thing. Come on, get in there. There we go. Now I guess I'll add that to the pile. And here's this week's anime DVD collection update. Alright. To start with, I'm pretty sure I didn't watch any more of Magical Girl Raising Project, because I popped that up, popped this in, and I was actually finished with this before I went to bed. I'd say Tuesday evening, technically Wednesday morning. I mean, it depends what you count 2 a.m. as, because it's technically Wednesday, but it's still early enough in Wednesday in the a.m. such that you could say that you went to bed Tuesday night, depending. Anyways, content-wise, there is one big problem with this, and that's, this says it's Season 1, and maybe Season 1 ended where this one, actually it says it's Season 1, Part 1. Why did I miss that? Probably because the part in the Season 1 are small. Okay. It does not end at a place that would be called the ending of a season. In fact, it is really in the middle of something, and it isn't a good breathing point just before something happens. It's like, well, the details are still there, and now I'm wondering what happens next. But okay, let's take a step back and look at the contents of it. It's a pretty good anime. I wouldn't say it's the most powerful feeling isekai that I've watched. Like, you don't watch it and say, yeah, emotion. You just kind of really enjoy it as it goes. It's got really nice moments. It's got some interesting world development. some of the elements actually remind me a lot of Death March in Another World, or I think that's what it was called. Because both of them kind of deal with character has acquired trait. Character has acquired trait. You know, and they come up with ways to kind of, you know, make sure the characters are overpowered in that regard, but they're not quite the same in terms of everything that happens in them. This one kind of takes things from a different angle and makes it really interesting. Yeah, what can I say? I'm really curious where it's going to go, because it was very entertaining and fun to get up to, you know, where I did, where I have, and they really did make the character kind of intriguing. Especially since, you know, they are approaching it from a completely different angle than a whole lot of stuff. So, it's been fun. I can't comment too much more on what I see on here, other than I did finally get this fucking sticker off. Mostly. Yeah, it was a piece of shit. Next up, me and my friend watched the last 3 episodes of Naruto Shippuden DVD set 38 here. And I think with this, we are officially completely done with Naruto Shippuden. Now, the Naruto universe stuff, there's still the Boruto everything, because I don't think I watched the Boruto movie that's part of Naruto Shippuden, and I haven't started the series. But whether or not we do that will be a different question. For the time being, you know, it kind of ended just kind of nice. It reminds me of, sometimes you have stories that feel so epic that you're glad they kind of have this cooling off, and you get to see where things are probably going to go from their moments. Maybe a movie example would be like Return of the King, you know, the third movie in the Fellowship of the Ring, or the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Sorry, Fellowship was the first movie. Where basically, how did that thing get covered with lotion? Like the last quarter of the movie is all about the resolution, and it feels fulfilling. Like it's great. And there was something else. I completely forgot what I was talking about. Anyways, oh, I guess I was thinking of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which like has a lot of stuff for its last episodes. Anyways, Shippuden, I'm not sure if I felt like it was definitely properly epic for the kind of calm ending it definitely had, especially since it had 1 or 2 side stories getting to it, but at the same time it felt fine. Part of it is that there's been so many years spent with these characters that if this is where you end the series, it feels like it's a fine, calming place to end the series. They played around with a couple more things. Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of felt like it ended on an okay note. So, that's Naruto Shippuden. It had its moments. It definitely had its moments. Next up, I watched the My Hero Academia 2 Heroes movie. And it's a pretty good movie, I thought. I'm trying to think if it's like standalone good, or if it's more like, it feels a little less side story than a whole lot of shonen movies. It's not completely, so like, you know, the One Piece movies, or the Naruto movies, or the Dragon Ball movies, sometimes they don't necessarily feel like they have the same pacing, tone, or even universe. Maybe universe isn't the right, say, maybe presentation, I don't know, something about them tends to feel different, whereas this one feels like it is definitely My Hero Academia. And it does this thing where, you know, you're supposed to think of Deku as the main character, right? Because when you watch a series, he's the main character. In this movie, he's kind of the main character as well. Although there's a lot of information that we learn about All Might in particular. You know, we get some more insight into his history, which is neat. But it does a really good job of handling Deku needs to be the main character of this movie, despite being surrounded by a whole lot of you know, really impressive people. You know, his fellow classmates are actually, you know, they work out. So, And it didn't do it perfectly. I thought it maybe was a little weird for the end confrontation and final stuff, but it was neat in other ways, so it kind of balances itself out pretty well. So that overall you kind of feel like it's realistic that it happened, I guess. And it feels a lot more in the universe. Like, I think the incident gets mentioned later in season 3, and I haven't gotten that far yet such that it was mentioned, but I'm curious. There were things that they could have set up such that it was connected to the main universe, but I'm glad they haven't made it necessary. Anyways, I did watch the first disc of My Hero Academia Season 3. Oh, was there something else I was going to talk about? Anyways, yeah, I'll probably talk about that. So far, it's been pretty entertaining. It's good setup for making you wonder what the characters are going to be doing next. But that's just the first quarter of this, I guess, because it's the first disc of, unless that was 9 episodes, in which case it's a little more. It's probably 9 episodes, so maybe close to the first half. How did I watch so much? I don't know. But, you know, so far, Season 3's been pretty good. I'm liking the characters that they introduced at the end of Season 3. I've been kind of curious about them. I do like that, you know, as they continue, they grow the universe in a way that's very natural, where it's like, you want to see this, you want to see that. Some of it, yeah, I guess I don't question. I'm wondering the characters in the show don't question it either. I don't know if I want to say it out loud, that stuff, in case it's a spoiler, but, you know, it's been pretty entertaining. I think, based on what I have today, I'm probably going to continue watching that. I have other important things here. I'll have to figure it all out. But yeah, so yeah, it's actually not a bad amount of anime watched, especially for me. It's nothing like mind-boggling, but it's kind of mind-boggling given everything else that happened. So, like, you know, the weekend was spent mostly focusing on other stuff. Lots of other stuff. So one of those things, I did get the Oculus Quest, and I showed it last time, right? And I guess there's been setting up of stuff where the idea is I'm on the gaming committee at work, which means we try to do stuff to, you know, encourage people at work to get chances to play various games. And there's a very video game centricness to it because most of us are video gamers, but we try to do other things. So, for example, we're doing a murder mystery later this month, and I'm doing a volunteer. I could have probably jumped on one of the roles really quick, but I want to volunteer and I want to help make it a fun experience for other people, because that's what I kind of tend to find fulfilling about a lot of this stuff. And man, how did that thing get covered with lotion? And you know, there's going to be a board game one in December, hopefully. But being able to bring a VR headset that doesn't require me to set stuff up, that sounds like a pretty neat thing that I could do. I could give people a chance to try out VR. And I might have mentioned last week that I was going to try to do this. And so I've been working on making sure all that stuff can happen. So what I found out is, you know, the Oculus can't cast to the phone without Wi-Fi. And because of that, that pretty much means, okay, there's no reason to not get a Chromecast. I mean, I already have one, and I find out it's over there. But I had to get a 3rd generation one because the Oculus doesn't support older than 3rd gen. So I got a 3rd gen, so now I can cast it to the TV directly, give or take a couple second delay. That's fine. It's whatever. And that's important because if you are trying to encourage people to do VR, sometimes you want to see them enjoying it. You just don't want to see them like moving around, but you want to see, oh look, they're doing that. You want other people to be able to enjoy it as well, and to be able to enjoy watching them enjoy it too. So, you know, I got a Chromecast, I got headphones,
because you don't need headphones for the Quest, but they're going to be really useful, especially since we're probably going to set this up at the barbecue. And you know, I have some tricks for trying to keep it charged for a really long time despite its own limited battery usage. We'll have to see if that actually works. That'll be interesting. And we might have tricks around the Wi-Fi stuff such that we might be able to cast it while people are playing it, despite the fact that, you know, we're in a tent in a parking lot essentially. We'll see how that all works out. But my goal is to not use up a lot of power, and if anything, just use up more floor space, hoping that weather permits. Because you never know if the weather does something really weird. So along those lines, you know, I purchased some games for it, 4 of them. I guess one of them is not really a game, Ocean Rift. It's a little expensive for what it is, but as an experience, it seems good, and I'm willing to spend the $10 so that, you know, somebody is coming in there and they're not a really heavy gamer and they don't want to do anything, they just want to get a feel for, oh my god, this is VR, then it seems like, you know, putting them in the ocean, having them look at a whale swim by seems like a nice, possibly calming thing. Let them swim around and get a little freaked out by the ocean depths being around them, even though they're not really ocean levels of deep. So, you know, got that. But see, I also got Beat Saber, I got Moss. I haven't tried Moss yet, I really should. And I got Super Hot VR. Now, the reason that this story has been going on, why I'm telling this now, is because I had to play through all of Super Hot VR. And it's super hot. It's got some frustrating moments to it where you're like, oh, yeah, how was I supposed to see that fucking bullet trail through all the red guy exploding stuff? But I got through it all. It was a neat game, and I needed to get through it so that I could unlock the guest discs so that when somebody else is trying it, they can start from the tutorial and not middle of the game, halfway through the game or something like that. I want them to be able to go through the tutorial that tells them how to do stuff so that they, you know, get a good introductory experience. Sorry, I can kind of smell the lotion. It's really weird. How'd lotion get in there? I'm trying to think if there's anything else really worth mentioning. Avatar making for VR chat has continued to be entertaining. You know, I kind of feel like I very solidly know how to do a lot of specific things. So like one of my VR chat friends, her avatar disappeared. It's the only avatar she's ever worn. She's worn it for like a month or 2. I don't know how long she's been on. And it disappeared, and she was not feeling very motivated to continue playing. I'm like, you know what? I just checked. The onesie is on VRC mods. Jojo or I could go and, you know, create a version of it for you that was under our control. And it would be kind of ideal if this person kind of learned how to upload her own avatar, just because if she was able to do that, then she'd have control over it so that if it disappears, she can either upload her own or something like that. She thinks she's not smart enough to do it, but I'm pretty sure she can. But I can understand, like, it's hard for me to kind of teach somebody the process remotely, maybe. And there's lots of tutorials, and I could try to make my own, but I don't know if I'm really doing anything that would be really specifically great. But it was really nice to be able to make 2 versions of her avatar. Like, this is the first time I've tried to change the size of an avatar, and, you know, it wasn't that hard. I completely recolored it. That wasn't too hard, but I kind of would have preferred if I was able to change everything's color as opposed to only change some of the colors. I guess that's one thing. As I've been playing with GIMP, I've been losing respect for it, because there's some very basic things that are just very basic. Why are you doing this, GIMP? I think the selection tool is probably the best example, where you select an area, and in pretty much every other paint program I've used, including like Microsoft Paint from the 90s, or even PaintShop Pro 6 from the 90s, which is what I'm used to using, there's this understanding that if you just click on the inside of that area and you drag it, that you're wanting to do something to that selection. And usually that means move it around, and like PaintShop Pro is smart enough to say, okay, we're going to put this in a temporary layer for you to move around. GIMP is like, oh, are you drawing another selection box? Like, why would I want to draw another selection box? I just created a selection box. It's like they think when you click the selection tool, your next step isn't to do something to the selection, it's just to draw it again. And it would make sense if somebody was like holding Control Shift or Alt or something like that that modifies the selection group, but they're not, and it's not. So then you're like, okay, well, maybe I'll go to the Move tool, and you try to move the selection, and it just moves the entire layer underneath the selection. And the selection box is just sitting there being a box and not actually holding on to any data. You're like, the fucking hell. So you notice, oh, well, it's layers, let's make it move the selection, and you go to the selection, you try to move it, and it just moves the selection box and none of the pixels inside of it. And so what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to cut and paste, and the paste becomes a new layer, but it's like, that just means that it is making you take extra steps for the most common thing you're going to be doing with a selection tool, which is select something and move it around. It's completely backwards from the way everything else is. There may be exceptions to wanting to move it around, because, you know, there tends to be, but those should be the exceptions and not the default state. And that's not even a subtle usability problem. That's a fundamental usability problem where it's just like, what were they thinking? And I don't think they were, because again, when you get down to it, use a selection tool. You're not intending to stick to that selection tool. You're automatically forcing people to either switch tools or switch layers or something like that. Something which doesn't make sense from the perspective of, I just created a selection. And the reason I'm noticing a whole lot of this stuff is because I'm trying to, you know, work on a person's avatar. I'm at the part where I'm going to play around with creating a, not completely custom, but a fairly custom accessory for their avatar. And you know, it'll just take a while, and because I started the basis of this in this tool, learning GIMP, I'm going to go ahead and continue on it, but yeah, tonight's definitely going to slow down. That part's going to be slowed down simply because you know, my brother and his friends will be coming over, hopefully, and we're going to be doing Zelda 4 Swords Adventures, which I don't know if any of y'all are going to get to hear before I upload this video, so it might be pointless mentioning it here, but I'm looking forward to doing it. It's a fun, chaotic little game. Well, I don't know, I think I've been babbling about a bunch of stuff. What are some of the others? I don't remember. Yeah, there's this stuff. Anyways, thank you for joining me as always. Y'all, have a nice week.